A Hat in Time is one of those games that really makes you nostalgic for times long gone. For some, this would be the N64 era with games like Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64. For others, it could be the GameCube era with games like Sunshine or even Billy Hatcher. For me, it takes me back to 2010, the first time I played Super Mario Galaxy. Exploring the different worlds, looking for power-ups, and fighting fun and inventive bosses, these are the things that made me fall in love with the 3D platform genre in the first place. And A Hat in Time has made me fall in love all over again. My name is Gryffiti, and this is my review of A Hat in Time. If you haven't heard of this game, I don't blame you. It's an indie game that came out in October of 2017. Previously, it was a Kickstarter game that apparently doubled its goal in only its first 2 days, so hype for this game was real. And when it came out, it was met with raving reviews from game critics and the general public. Since coming out on PC and Mac in October of 2017, it has also come out on PS4, Xbox One, and more recently Nintendo Switch with DLC and a new co-op mode being added later. Over the years, this game has gotten a ton of support by its developers, which is really cool for an indie game that came out over 4 years ago. But enough about the background of the game, let's dive into the game itself. The game's story isn't very deep, but it doesn't need to be for this type of game. You play as a girl dubbed Hat Kid who flies a spaceship that runs entirely on magical hourglasses. I cannot believe I said that as if it were a normal thing to say. Anyways, while hovering above a planet, a member of the Mafia comes and breaks the glass of your ship, causing you and all your hourglasses to be scattered across the planet. It's at this point that you meet Mustache Girl, a girl who wants to destroy the Mafia at all costs. Hat Kid and Mustache Girl become fast friends. That is until Hat Kid decides that Mustache Girl is a little deranged, and then Mustache Girl swears that they will be mortal enemies. At this point, the game opens up to you and you're able to get out there and collect as many hourglasses as possible, with 40 being scattered but only 25 being needed to beat the story. Now, I've given you a very small taste of what's actually going on here, as there's several side stories, including having to help film a movie and selling your soul to a demon named Snatcher. This game is very weird, and I love it for that. What carries this game narratively is the writing. There's one line in this game that was so funny I actually paused my gameplay recording so I wouldn't take up more space on my computer while I was dying of laughter. All the characters have pretty decent voice acting and are really fun to talk to. They even got my fellow YouTuber JonTron in the game as a cameo, which is really neat. But if the hilarious writing of the game is not enough to sell you, that's fine, because the gameplay certainly will. The game invokes 3D platform collectathons of the past, as I said earlier, games like Banjo-Kazooie, Mario Sunshine, and it even has elements that remind me of more obscure games like Donkey Kong 64. But first and foremost, I must answer the question of how does it feel to move? A major part of platform games is movement options, and this game has all the fluidity you could ask for. You have a double jump, and you have a tackle move that can cancel into another mini jump. These two things will be your main way of traversing all the areas you need to go through to reach the hourglass at the end of the level. Level design can be a bit tight, but not necessarily in a bad way. More so, the level design is decently linear for most of the game's levels, with a couple of exceptions I will get to in a bit. While the main item you're trying to collect is the scattered hourglasses, there are many more collectibles scattered around that make exploring areas a rewarding endeavor. One of these collectibles is the balls of yarn used to craft the different hats that give Hat Kid several abilities to add to her arsenal. The main hat is used to find the current objective. It basically helps to point you in the right direction. The next hat makes you run a lot faster and is fun for traversing places quickly, although while using the power you can only jump once, but to be fair it is a long jump, so it is still pretty useful. Then comes the ice hat, which in my opinion is the least helpful, but is still pretty interesting. It turns you into a statue that weighs a ton and can be launched off specific points of the level to grab collectibles or find secret pathways. Then there's the Wanderer hat, which allows you to bring things from different dimensions into the current one. basically opening closed parts of levels and more secret spots. The last hat is one I actually never got in my playthrough, the Time Stop hat, allowing you to stop time and take advantage of frozen enemies. All these hats are an absolute blast to use, and don't at all feel like useless additions. Level design was made to accommodate them, and it really shows. Now there are 3 main sections of the game: Search and Find, Missions, and Boss Fights. In the Search and Find levels, all you must do is get to the end and find the hourglass at the end of the level. Missions come in a variety of flavors, whether it be parading around for a movie, or sacrificing souls of innocence captured in paintings to destroy fox spirits. Again, this game is mad weird. Then there are boss fights, which are all really inventive and fun. Some of them are a little long in my opinion, but nothing too egregious. And that's the basic gist of the entirety of the gameplay. Overall, it's an absolute blast to play. But that doesn't mean that the game doesn't have any issues, because it definitely does. The biggest issue I had with this game is the camera. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it is downright awful and a chore to put up with. One thing I found kind of odd is that the camera is inverted both vertically and horizontally, which isn't a huge deal. I did eventually get used to it. It was just a bit weird to me. The issue is that level design can often be tight, as I said before, and this can make it to where your camera has nowhere to go except directly behind Hat Kid, which can become a huge issue when you cannot see where you are about to go. This made me have to do leaps of faith quite often, which more often than not worked out fine, but it's still an issue that I think should have been fixed. Another thing that I didn't like very much was a level called Alpine Skyline. It's a free roam level devoid of mission objectives. It's also devoid of seemingly anything to do. I found myself getting lost very often just because of how open the level design is and how most of it looked exactly the same. I ran around in circles for a very long time before I decided to just leave the level, since it's not needed to complete the main story. And yes, while these issues are very annoying, there were so many things in this game that brought a smile to my face. So, just for a bit, would you please allow me to gush? The music is just incredible. There's not a single song that I thought wasn't amazing. My favorite would have to be the song when you enter the bubble of an hourglass. It plays this extremely peaceful and nice song that I absolutely love. Every mission has a piece of artwork corresponding to it, and they're all drawn so beautifully and clearly have a lot of love and care to them. Hat Kid walks differently during a couple of the missions. Why? I literally don't know, but I think it's cute that they did that. For example, during a mission where you're a detective, she walks with her hand up like a gun, and for another mission where you're in a scary mansion, she tiptoes throughout the entire place. It's just really nice attention to detail. And if I talked about everything I liked about this game, I would likely be here for hours. So before I gush on for too long, let's move on. I feel like for indie games, there's a certain feeling that is different from most AAA games. It's the difference between eating somewhere like a 5-star restaurant and getting a nice home-cooked meal made by your mom. There's a certain amount of passion and love that can be felt through the screen. Every little detail adds up to a game that not only I would play again, but I'm currently still playing after I've already finished it. It's so good I really do plan on 100%ing it in the future, and even buying the DLC. By the way, if you want to see that on my channel, leave a comment telling me you want to see me review the DLC someday. I'll get around to it at some point. With all that being said, I give this game an 8.5 out of 10. It's fantastic, and despite the few issues I have with it, it's a game that has certainly become one of my favorites, and I really do recommend it because maybe it will become one of yours as well. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Hey, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. I recorded this entire video with a cold, which has been really fun. I have a cup of Theraflu right next to me, and let me tell you, it's not working. The amount of times I had to re-record all of these lines because I coughed is really sad. I've been recording for so long. Anyways, thank you guys for making it this far, and I will see you guys in the next video, which will be in a week and is about Celeste. So I'll see you guys then. Later.